guys are having a pretty good day, and I am super excited to be here hanging out with you guys and talking comics and other things inside of the nerd world. So if you guys have news or things you guys want to be talking about, definitely put those in, let me know, and we can talk about those things as well. I am just super excited to be hanging out with you all, and hopefully, you are all having a wonderful day. So I got to hang out at my local comic shop a bit, picking up my new comics, talking with the people there, and that's one of the things that I absolutely love about the nerd community is that it is a community, and there are a lot of really cool people that you can interact with and talk to, and that's a really awesome part of it. But I don't know, I just love how cool the people there are, and I don't know, that's just a really fun thing for me. And I just kind of thinking about that and how there are different ways that we connect with different people, and that we are trying to be able to build connections throughout our lives. And I love that comic books and that video games and things like that are able to play a part in that. And I just think that that's just really, really amazing. So today we're going to be covering a bunch of different things. I've got a good list here of different some stuff that we can cover, talk about, stuff like that. And one of the things that we are going to be able to cover is some of the new books. I've got a lot of reviews. I read through everything that I picked up. And I really love doing these lives in respects of going and being able to uh, motivate me to read everything and cover all of that. And then I get to talk with you guys about those things because I think that that's just super fun. Um, and then, there's different news, something new for Amazon Prime with the Legend of Vox Machina, and a couple of other things. So we're going to be able to cover those, some gaming news, talk about my gaming schedule for my other channel on here on YouTube, and stuff like that. So we're gonna dive in and wow, just talk about all these things. Again, if you jump in, have questions, feel free to add any comments or questions um, that you have, because I love to talk about anything you guys are interested in discussing. Um, so here's my big stack for this week, which honestly is a pretty substantial stack. I am reading a lot, and I've been really enjoying that. We're going to hit DC first, shift through to Marvel, and I've got one single independent comic. And we'll talk about those things, cover those ideas, and then we'll, go from there. So this is the cover, the variant cover for Wonder Girl #7. I think that they aren't going to be continuing this series, which I think is an absolute tragedy. It does have a really good conclusion here, but unfortunately, there wasn't, I guess, enough demand, enough push to keep this series going, which I'm sad about, but I'm really pleased with what we have. And one of the things that I just absolutely love, I'm just going to see, here's a good page, is the comic itself is just gorgeous. I really love the use of colors, and honestly, the colors are pretty flat. Like there's not a lot of shading or definition or things like that they involve in with the book itself, but I just feel like it's very rich, and the color choices are so much more important if you do a book like that. And they are just spot on. Also, the line work is incredible, is absolutely gorgeous. This is a book that you guys definitely should be checking out, should be reading. It is just totally worthwhile. So that is that first one, Wonder Girl #7. Shifting forward, here we've got DC versus Vampires. This is number 4, and this is a great book. Honestly, I love what they're playing with here. The cover is pretty fantastic with this fight between the various characters. We've got, the big trinity here with Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman. And this book is good. We've got a lot of different characters, some that are vampires, some that are not. We've got some good uh, Nightwing and Batgirl romance going on. And trying not to show any of the vampire characters vamping out because I don't want to reveal too much. But we've got at the end, everyone's not sure about who's on which side, and it sets up for this awesome Justice League battle. And that's something I'm really looking forward to. I think that has a lot of potential. So, yeah, that's something I'm really looking forward to, is this series continuing and seeing where they go from here. So yeah, DC Vampires was a total winner and one that I recommend. Okay, the next one that I got going on is the Superman and Robin special. This was a one-shot, and this was great. Honestly, I love the Super Sons, and this one just hit the right things for me. So I think it was great. The cover, we got the cover A for this one, pretty good. And the internals of this book have been pretty stunning too. We've got Robin stealing some bat suits, and there's the story is that there's some stuff that's loose inside of the Fortress of Solitude. Robin knows about it, so he shows up to John. John's right now the Superman of Earth, and Clark Kent, Kal-El is off in space doing space Superman stuff. And so the fortress is essentially in John Kent's responsibility. And so they go in and they have to fight and battle and deal with a lot of things with that. And that makes this really fun. Also, it's interesting to see because there was this weird time jump thing where John essentially we skip 8 years for him, and he's now 8 years older, and they used to be the same age, but now we've got young Damien, who's still a kid, and then John, who's now this fully realized Superman, and they're still the Super Sons, and that dynamic was just fun and interesting to see played out and how they explored it there. Honestly, this was really satisfying. And as something that I have been going through with the Super Sons book, that's great because it really plays off of the same feeling, the same flavor, the same value that we get out of that grouping. So really a wonderful one, and I really liked it. Batman Detective Comics. This is 1050. So this was a anniversary issue. They call it a landmark issue. The first off, let's props for the cover art. This is absolutely incredible. So gorgeous. And I am just a crazy big fan for this. And oh man, I've been loving the cover art for Detective Comics right now. It's been incredible. This is what we've been talking about on different live streams as well. They've been pushing out Detective Comics I think it's been weekly for the last while, which is crazy, but I'm loving it. But with this, there's actually 3 different stories here. So we first have the main story, which has been with the Arkham Tower. And we've got some backstory stuff for for Helena, and that's been fantastic. Really amazing with that. They also have been getting into a little bit more about what's like the mystery of the Arkham Tower and how that's going to be playing out. So that was really good. The second one, we have like this orphan boy, this little redhead, who's been rescued by Batman and has been to the Wayne's orphanage. But we find that they've all, like him and several other people in the orphanage, have been taken by uh, the the Scarecrow, and that was really really fun to see. So we have Scarecrow here using the kids of the orphanage, and that was, I don't know, that was a really good story setup. And then we end with a a Batman Superman story at the end, and that was really great. Again, the art is fantastic, and the just I don't know. Honestly, that was probably one of my favorites out of the three, and overall, all three stories were really great. So that was that one. How are you guys doing? If you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in. If you're just hanging out, listening, glad you have you here. You guys are fantastic, and I appreciate you so much. Okay, the next one that we've got here is Robin number 10. Now, one of the things that I've been doing with Robin that I feel like has been needed for a really long time has been talking about his lineage and his history. We've talked about his relationship with Bruce a lot, but his Al Ghul line is something that we haven't spent a lot of time with because he's been with Bruce. He's been mentored and guided by Bruce for the most of the time that we have had him there. And so this one has been going through this story on the Lazarus Island, and he's been having this death match thing, which he's been doing for the last many issues, and we're getting into kind of like a mind meld here for a little bit of it, and we see the history of Ra's al Ghul and how he becomes the head of the demon, and where that comes from, a bit about the Lazarus pits themselves, and he is being confronted with some of these truths and these realities of his history, and that was a really cool thing to see. Really fantastic. I definitely recommend that book. I don't know. It's been a win for the whole way through. Robinson, hello, welcome. Hopefully you are having a good day. How you doing? Okay, guys. Jumping into another one here. We've got Harley Quinn number 11, and these covers, again, these are cover Bs. I'm collecting cover Bs for this series because to me they are just so good. I absolutely love it. I love how this artist has all this like motion and movement that gets really captured really well. And with this one, they've got this like guitar that's super cool, and like I don't know, it's a really cool looking cover. Oh, you were sleeping. Well, good morning. Another thing that I think is interesting about this is we've got Harley as trying to be a hero, trying to be a good guy, and it's been a struggle for Harley. But we have some interesting villains for her, and that's been a cool thing to see. And we've got these like pumpkin head robots in this one, and it's been pretty good. Yep, you're right. It is. It is. Just joking about you being asleep. So, um, that was really great. And honestly, The book itself was okay. It didn't blow me away, but it was okay. But the cover's so good. But yeah, it was probably my least favorite read out of the DC reads this week. This one was pretty good. It's actually a bit thicker. It's got an actual standard binding because it was big enough for that. It was priced pretty steep. It was marked at $9.99, and I honestly think this was a $7.99 to a $6.99 book. But DC has been pushing their prices up and up and up, and is honestly making it harder and harder for me to buy, because they're just pushing the prices, and I'm struggling with that with them. Marvel is continually pressing its price book as well, but not as hard as DC has been. Anyways, that's a total side note. This is the Batman and Catwoman special, and it is a one shot really. It says issue one, but this is a one shot that's linking in with that. And one of the things that I think was kind of strange was this is a month late. It just is. They somehow, I don't know, didn't get it out soon enough. Printer, whatever it was. But this is a Christmas book. This should have been released in December, but we're a month later and we got it. So I'm happy to have it all the same. It's got a couple of different stories here. First is the main story here, and we have these different time periods of different Christmases, and we've got Batman, Catwoman. There's a lot of flats to the book, rather than full depth colors. And there actually is kind of like almost like a stylistic shift, and I think they're trying to be able to do is showcase the passage of time with that, which I think was an interesting way to go about it. One of the things in the Batman Catwoman story arc is this one reintroduces Helena, the child of Batman and Catwoman, and she is being a hero herself. And we have some pretty fun moments like the young Helena being able to go out on patrol and being guided by her mother, Catwoman, and also her a little bit older as well. And another thing that we have here is after Catwoman dies, or after Batman dies, we have her like mourning at the funeral, or at the gravesite there, and I think that's a really touching thing for Christmas. They also pulled out some older books, and this like older stories. Like they have this one, the riddle from Batman Black and White. Honestly, this one I thought it was a really good story, but I feel like that we're really really lazy with the art in this story. I'll just like showcase a page here to kind of so you can see what I mean. It's like not a lot of work in this. I think you'd have to be really careful with how you do your lines though, because every line is going to really matter when it's just silhouettes. But pretty much it's just silhouettes the whole way through the story, and that was a little bit different. But that was when they pulled out from the archives. They also have a stack of different art covers here that they stack in, and those were really, really wonderful. And I love all these different art pieces that they incorporated in. So I'll just show a couple of those, but leave a couple more for you guys to see. They also pulled another short comic story from The Question out from the archives, and that was cool too. So there was several things in here which helped make this book be more worthwhile, because it was a pretty heavy price tag on that. And those are my DC books. So we'll shift over and talk about some of the stuff in Marvel, and then we'll jump into my one independent book and talk about other news that we have of things that are going on in the community. If you guys again have questions, comments, definitely shout those out. Love to hear what you have to say. So this is X-Men #7. Pretty cool cover. We've got a lot of the different heroes being featured here, which was cool. I've been liking the X-Men team that they're currently having. The Krakoa era right now, I've got some mixed feelings about it overall. One of the big things that I've been struggling with is there's a lack of like gravitas about death, because most all of the mutants, if they die, they go and get in this little cocoon, or they just like grow them, I guess, back, and then they re-upload their memory from like a basically like a hard drive, and so there's this like constant resurrection capability. That is one of the things they do play with here, and they do a really good job with it. They set up these like monsters, these chimera that they have to go and fight, and they set up a situation to where one of their heroes is going to have to die, and then did Jean Grey die again? Not in this one. Now this one actually has Cyclops dying, and it was this really beautiful moment where he's sacrificing himself to save somebody else, and then the villain kind of messes with this lack of being able to remember that time in between your last like upload your memory to the cloud, the Krakoan cloud, and then um, uh, and then you come back, you don't have that time. So if you run out on a mission, you probably don't remember that mission at all, and the other people kind of have to fill in and talk about it. So that's some of the stuff that they explored with this one, and it was interesting. How many times has Cyclops has died? Tons of times before the Krakoan period. Like X-Men died and were brought back pretty regularly. That was that was honestly like the trope of heroes dying and coming back. Honestly, X-Men has a lot to do with that. And it's been exacerbated because of their resurrection capabilities now, because now pretty much like somebody dies all of the time, and they go and they bring them back, and it's like a thing, it's part of what they do. And I don't know, I don't love that quite as much. I love the X-Men, what the X-Men has been doing, but I don't know, that one I just kind of struggle with a little bit. So this one was pretty interesting. The Amazing Spider-Man number 87. We're back with having Peter as a key part of the story. So for the last, I don't know, 6 or so issues, 8 issues, I think, actually, we've had Ben Reilly as the key person. Mostly Jean Grey, someone dying. There is several stories where Jean Grey dies. That is super true. So with this one, we kind of get this transition back, and this book was a slam dunk. We've got Captain America here, Black Cat, and one of the things what we're doing here is like several issues ago, Peter gets injured really bad, and he is having to, I mean, he's like in the hospital, and so we kind of shift focus over to Ben Reilly as he's being a Spider-Man, and some of the adventures and things that he's been going on, and we're shifting back now, and Peter is struggling as a hero. He can't do all the things that he could do, and he's recovering from this serious injury, and I love how they deal with that. So essentially, what these two characters are doing is trying to get him in fighting shape. Hey, Wendy. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yay, Peter's back, right? Yeah, totally. So with this, they've got some awesome moments here with Peter Parker training, and one of the things is they're not letting him suit up until he's ready. So he's dressed in all these like crazy outfits and with a bag over his head every single time, which is super funny. I've been absolutely loving it. Anyways, this was probably my favorite read. Yeah, this is probably my favorite read of the entire collection from this week. So that was great. Uh, and this is, yeah, probably number one. Okay, more X-Men. Actually, we're gonna just keep going with the Spider-Man dynamic because there's more stuff kind of with that whole thing. Right, the return of the bombastic Bagman. That's exactly right. You need that comment. Yes. Oh, that Spider-Man one was so good. Okay, so this one actually is kind of connected with that same story arc here. We've got Mary Jane and Black Cat, and this was so much fun to read. I really enjoyed the cover. Campbell's a pretty well known artist. I've got a few complaints about his art style, but it's also pretty fun. And that's a pretty fun cover. One of the things that we have here is we've got Peter in the hospital. Okay, so Peter in the hospital, and there's this bad guy who's chilling there because of Black Cat. And he's got a gun and he's threatening them. But Peter is, he's just, he's in the hospital bed recovering. So this is before they've been able to really get to them fully training. And right, oh my gosh, yeah, this is like the dream team for me. I love these two characters, and the art in this is so good. So we have these two girls who are both kind of competitive because though MJ is clearly the girlfriend and Black Cat is kind of the person that he had been with in the past, we have them both caring about Peter and both willing to work together because of their love for Peter in their different ways. Also, the artist who does this is so good. The way they draw the characters are just fantastic, and I'm totally loving that. Well, what they have to do is they have to go and do a heist. So they're gonna go and rob various people, make deals, work this way because they're trying to be able to get this particular item. And so we have them going out like Taskmaster, Rhino, and several other villains, and that's pretty fun to see that them team up. And then ultimately they need to do this heist, which is requires a decoy, which is where we get this cover where we have both of them dressed in the Black Cat suit, which has been just way too fun. So this was a winner. This was amazing, and is very fitting in tandem with the Amazing Spider-Man one, which is why I kind of brought that up there. And it was such a fun read. It was a great one. Definitely a winner for that. Okay, guys, so talking in a little bit more, we've got the X Deaths of Wolverine, and this is linking with the X Lives of Wolverine. Essentially, one of the things that they've got is Wolverine strapped in, and there's the Cerebro, the thing that Professor X hooks into. They're kind of hooking Wolverine in there. And if you guys have seen Days of Future Past, you see how there's these time jumps and things like that. And that's what X Lives of Wolverine really kind of dealt with. With X Deaths, particularly this one, we do have Wolverine here kind of in the end. But the big part of this is with another character completely, because we have Mariah Taggart, and Mariah Taggart is this character here, and is a mutant, but she's a mutant who is able to, anytime that she dies, right, another X-Men death, yeah. anytime that Mariah dies, it she jumps back in time and creates a new timeline, and thus she's been affecting how the X-Men have gone about approaching life, because we see thousands of years in the future, different things like that, all these different timelines, and kind of the destruction of the mutants. And so her whole new approach was, we're going to go to Krakoa, we're going to make a country, we're going to not necessarily be just straight up heroes like we have been in the past, we're going to demand to have rights and demand to have opportunities. They have access to these amazing medicines and they sell them to the world in trade for them to be recognized and respected. And there's this whole huge thing. It's in House of X, Powers of X. We see her with these multiple different timelines. Well, some things are happening and people aren't super excited. So they had this thing that they got to block her from being able to access her mutant abilities. And so then they're trying to kill her. Essentially, they're trying to be able to like maybe lock them in on this timeline or change things in other ways. And so most of this story is her running from the various X-Men. And there's some other crazy things going on. But she needs to disguise herself and shift away. There's an awesome moment that I'll showcase where Jane Foster Valkyrie comes out and rescues her, which was super cool. Overall, I loved this story. I thought it was really strong. All right, who's the main editor for the X-Men comics right now? Editor, I don't know. This one right here was written by Benjamin Percy. And the other X-Men was written by, I think it's last name Dugan here. The person who spearheaded the Krakoan era. Let's see if I can just pull that out. That came from this big event of House of X and Powers of X. And this is that same character that we were talking about right there. But this was Jonathan Hickman, who kind of spearheaded this movement and this new direction for the X-Men. And I don't know, I'm kind of like, I really have been enjoying it. I think I like all of the aspects of it, and I wouldn't mind getting back to kind of some of the more classical events and elements that the X-Men series has like explored and talked about in the past. But it's been pretty solid. It's been pretty good. But I don't know, there's certain things like the constant resurrection capabilities that they have and things like that. I just feel like makes it feel less permanent, less dire. Like if a hero dies, like there's a little bit of intrigue of, well, maybe how did they die, which can add suspense and mystery and some of those types of things, but it also like lowers the stakes because you can do crazy things, die, and there's not a lot of consequence. And so they've been having to work around that in their stories, and rather than having to work around putting people in dangerous situations and figure out how are they going to survive it, it's kind of like, how are we going to make it so if we kill them, it actually has meaning? Which is in a very different dynamic. I don't think so. I think that Joe, I don't know how to say that last name. Quesada? Quesada? I don't know how to say his name. I've only seen it written. But I think he had stepped down like a year ago, and that there's a new person that is on and in charge as the editor in chief of Marvel. I'm not sure though. That's one Google away. We could find out. Hey Joseph, how's it going? Let's see. Let's look that up. Who is the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics? CB Cebulski, I think is how you say that. He is, and he's been an editor for years and years, and he's been have in that editor in chief position since looks like you said 2017 is what it says here when I googled that. Um, so yeah, there's that answer for that question. Oh, guys, this one, Doctor Strange, oh my gosh, this has been incredible. The Death of Doctor Strange, issue number 5, is the conclusion of this 5-part series, which sets up a new Sorcerer Supreme because, well, the Death of Doctor Strange. Well, one of the things that I think has been really interesting here is we've kind of dived into the multiverse. And we have multiple versions of Doctor Strange in here from other dimensions. And we have other dimensions that are not necessarily different timelines, but they're just like separate dimensions. Like they have this moment here where they have multiple Sorcerer Supremes team up together here, which is super interesting. And we have the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth, of the 6th dimension, of the purple dimension, of the dark dimension, and of Limbo. And they're all different characters, and that was kind of fun to see because we have this concept of Sorcerer Supreme being this great hero, the most powerful, whatever, all that kind of stuff. But each of these different dimensions have Sorcerer Supremes. And that's something that we've dealt with in earlier Doctor Strange comics, where he's had to face other Sorcerer Supremes, and when he's kind of dived into not only the multiverse, but like the multi-dimensionality of a single universe. And there's the various Sorcerer Supremes of each of those dimensions. And so we have that here. We also find out at the end of this one who is going to be taking the mantle for the Sorcerer Supreme for this and probably the next up and coming series of comics, where while we have Doctor Strange being dead, like no doubt Doctor Strange is going to be coming back, but we've got some of the stuff set up, and it looks like it's going to be pretty cool. I think I actually might have an image here of the new Sorceress Supreme here, which is pretty awesome. And I'm very, very excited. I'm very, very excited for that. I'll be picking up at least issue 1 to see how that story goes. But yeah, really powerful. One that I think was pretty fun and probably worthwhile as the preparation setup for the future, for like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, things like that. Like those comics are definitely going to play in line with some of that stuff that's been going on. All right, we got last one for Marvel, and then we've got my independent that I want to talk about. Then we got a bunch of other things that we can be discussing here. And again, if you guys have questions, thoughts, comments, I've been loving what you've been saying. Drop those thoughts, questions in here. Those have been great. So Devil's Reign, issue number 3. This has been a powerful series. This is a big crossover level event, and it has been really, really fun. And I don't know, I've liked this. You see, you started reading Attack on Titan and are intrigued. Very cool. I have watched the season and a half of Attack on Titan, and I've read, I think, one volume of Attack on Titan. Yeah, I've got volume 1 of Attack on Titan, and I've read that one, which was really fun. Very very different. A lot of people go to that one as a kind of a go-to to get started into manga. They do that because there's not a lot of side quests. The action keeps on going. But it's pretty dark. It's pretty gritty, so be prepared for that. It's not necessarily the one that I recommend for first readers, just because it is a different flavor. But if you were enjoying it, there's a lot of other ones that are similar to that. And awesome. I think that's great. I need to read more of Attack on Titan. It's been a great series for me so far, and I've really enjoyed it, but I need to do more. So that's super cool, Joseph. With Devil's Reign, what we have here is we have Wilson Fisk outlawing superheroes and then going in and uh, essentially hiring different villains and having them be protectors and stuff. And this throws New York City upside down. In this one, we have some pretty big crossover stuff going on here. One of the things is we got Peter being caught by the police being really rough with him and needing to be rescued, and gets rescued by the Fantastic Four. We've got things like the Purple Man. You might recognize Purple Man from the first season of Jessica Jones, and his power is super dangerous. So we've got different heroes and characters like that, which are really interesting to see, those heroes and villains. We've got a bunch of other heroes and villains being affected and influenced by this one, but we've got Captain America, Luke Cage, Iron Man, Hulk, Wolverine. We've got we've got Daredevil. We've got She-Hulk. We've got Ghost Rider. Tons and tons of characters here that have been really, really interesting. What they've been doing, that's been really great. That is Spider-Man, because Spider-Man has been Ben Reilly for a while, but that's been an interesting thing that we've got here. And Peter has the more brown hair, where Ben has the more blonde hair. That is true. Okay, so my last comic was one that I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to see how this goes. This is the comic book of Cowboy Bebop, issue number 1 by Titan Comics. Now, this is really interesting for me because there was the manga, Cowboy Bebop. And that was pretty popular, enough so where they made the animated anime, so the show of Cowboy Bebop, which was really good, really popular, grew in popularity. And which one? Be more specific and I'll respond, because I don't know what you're talking about, Robinson. So, yeah, put that in and I'd love to answer your question. But the anime was super popular, and it got acquired with the rights for Netflix to make a TV show. They made a season and canceled it because doing live action for anime has just been hard. They've just struggled. I can't think of a good example of one that was a total 100% win. I actually enjoyed the amount of the Cowboy Bebop show that I watched, but it wasn't... okay, gotcha. Yeah, so I'm heading all the way to there. You jumped the gun on me. So they made the show, and this is based off of the show. We can see with the art germ, this is the artist for the cover, that it's based off of the Netflix style of the characters. So that's what we're seeing here. Only got through 2 episodes. Yeah, I watched I think I watched maybe 3 episodes. I had fun with it. I was enjoying it, but I didn't need to see any more. I was satiated and I moved on, which was a sad thing for a reality for a TV show, because you gotta be thinking, I gotta be watching more. And I wasn't necessarily disappointed by it, but I wasn't impressed by it, I guess. That's kind of my take. But I thought I'd give this a shot. And honestly, it was a pretty fun book. And it advertises some of the now Cowboy Bebop novels. So there's several of those novels out. And then it also showcases some of the mangas that they have. but the story was okay, and I had fun with that. And honestly, for me, the big win was the really dynamic colors. Like everything here is a different color, and they really play with lighting, and it feels musical. Is how I'm going to describe it, and I think that's an important thing about the Cowboy Bebop aesthetic, is that it should almost be like you could almost hear it. And that was something I feel like they really captured well with all of the dynamic colors. And that was, I think, really well done. Honestly, this was a beautiful book, and I don't feel bad about picking this one up. Not only because it's an art germ cover, which I just love collecting, but because it was a fun story. So 9 episodes, I wasted 9 hours of your life. Oh man, not a fan, huh? I had fun with it. I'm not gonna say that it was the best thing ever because it wasn't, but I had fun with it. I thought it was. I was good. I don't. I'm really bad at hating things. I'm really bad at hating things. I generally speaking will enjoy something. I'm good at that. That's a skill I have, I guess. But that was something that I don't. I wasn't super impressed, but I thought I'd give that comic a shot, and I had fun with it. So that was a win for me. As reading goes, I've been going through books like crazy this year. I'm trying to push towards 225 books read, and then I can talk about different things and discuss different stuff. I've been going back through my Wheel of Time series, and I'm on Winter's Heart, which is book 9. I haven't yet read the prequel book. I'll probably do that soon as well, but this was this was great. This is such, I just love this series so much. This is where it starts to like slump down for several people. I absolutely love the story arc here where Perrin goes and rescues Fail, and they're traveling through the snow and things like that, which kind of that book cover showcased, which was all super fun and super cool. Anyways, that's what I've been going. Winter Heart is the hard one. See, a lot of people say that about that book, that it's kind of the slump one. I probably will shift from Winter's Heart to the prequel after this, and then go back to book 10. I've done it in different spots. I've done it between 11. I think I've done it as early as like after 7, and um, I don't know, different spots there, but that's where I think I'm going to be doing it this time through. I recently watched a interview with Brandon Sanderson. I guess it wasn't an interview; it's one of his like his podcast things, and they were discussing the Wheel of Time, and it's been interesting because Brandon Sanderson, who helped finish write the series, he wrote the last 3 books in the series after Robert Jordan's had passed away. He's like, he enjoys the show, and I'm just like so appreciative of him because there's so many people that have like hated on the show, and for good reasons. They made some really big changes, but you know, they're like, we had fun, and that's kind of how I was with it. Is like, I really wish they would have done this laundry list of things differently. But like, if you're looking at this thing as a standalone experience, like it did a good job. It told a good story. It got my dad watched the whole thing all the way through, and I got to talk about it and discuss with him about it. And he's never going to read the books, but he was able to enjoy something that I was enjoying, and that was fun. That was cool to see. And so I've appreciated that it's going to get people into reading the series. Other people, the last episode destroyed it. Yeah, I think Brandon Sanderson agreed on the interview that that was the weakest of the episodes. I think that they were really afraid of not being greenlit for a season 2 or something like that. So they tried to have kind of this final battle kind of thing. And rather than battling multiple Forsaken and having the Hornevalier in the place that it was in the book and doing these other things. They went and tried to do something very different. And I think that was a bad call. I think there were several bad calls. But like, okay, I understand what they were trying to be able to accomplish. I agree. The eighth episode was the weakest, and it's gonna make it so they're gonna have to pedal backwards and fix things in order to move forward. That's a whole topic. Anyways, I've been going through and rereading Wheel of Time and just reading the purity of the goodness of Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, which has been a joy. Other things though that Amazon Prime is doing right now is they're I think it's this end of this week or beginning of next week. The Legend of Vox Machina is going to be on Amazon Prime, and this is one that I'm looking forward to and excited about. I'm not one who's watched a lot of Critical Role, a little bit here and there. But for Critical Role fans, they know that this is one of their big epic D&D story campaigns. That was the Legend of Vox Machina. So that is, I think, pretty cool that you have these people who essentially sat down and played a game, made things up in their imagination, kind of in the spur of the moment as this like collaborative storytelling experience. And this story that they created while they were playing a game was so excited. They were so excited about. They're so eager for that they decided to greenlight a whole TV show based on the game that they were playing. Now, obviously, these are voice actors, very talented storytellers who are going and playing this game to help create a collaborative storytelling experience that literally millions of people have watched and enjoyed. So there's like a lot of foundation here, but it really kind of surprises me and blows my mind that that's something that's going on here. So that's just really interesting. And for people who are fantasy fans, D&D fans, and especially Critical Role fans, that's one that definitely should be on your radar. Real quick, guys, if you've been enjoying this so far, please give a thumb up. That really helps the algorithm and for YouTube. So yeah, appreciate that. Okay, so jumping in a little bit farther as well, some other things that I think have been interesting, things that I've been thinking about. Recently, there was an announced a game that's going to be coming out soon called Zenith: The Last City. It's a VR game, and it's trying to be a virtual reality MMO. And a VR MMO is essentially kind of like building out the same type of game experience that like Sword Art Online had, and I think that that's fascinating. That they're like their goal is to try to reach something that's Sword Art Online equivalent, hopefully without having the death switch where if you can't exit the game, right? All right, what is Critical Role? Ooh, okay, definitely going to talk about that. Oh, Robinson, thank you so much. So, Critical Role is a YouTube series, and they might be on other platforms as well in different ways. But essentially, what they do is they play Dungeons and Dragons professionally for a audience over YouTube, right? So they've got like I don't know like 6 different people, and they'll have different guest stars at different times that come in and they play Dungeons and Dragons with them. And so they'll go and they'll do these really epic stories with these really big campaigns. But essentially, what you're doing here is you're watching these people play Dungeons and Dragons, and they're really good at diving into the character, creating story-driven plots, be really diving into their character, giving them like accents, and their voice actors, right? They do like you can hear them on different shows as voice actors. I think some of them have narrated different books, so they're really good at that. And they build out these characters and their voices, and they do some really fun things that way. And so that's who Critical Role is they are a band of Dungeons and Dragons players, some D&D players, and they have built a tremendous like enterprise out of them playing D&D. It's really quite impressive. They've got I don't know maybe like 1 million followers on YouTube, and their videos get millions and millions of views while they are go through these story campaigns. So it's really kind of cool. I'm very impressed by it. I I've only watched bits and pieces, and some of these campaigns go on for a very very long time, and they've got now like 800 plus episodes, and so they've been doing it for a while and have amassed quite a following. Another thing that I'm really, really looking forward to, and one that I think will be pretty fun, I'm going to be doing a more kid friendly stream probably later this week because Pokemon Legends Arceus comes out on Friday. So, Pokemon is a huge gaming franchise, absolutely massive, and they're trying an open world type game, and so I'm going to be trying to pick it up on Friday and then do a stream with it. So that'll be something to look forward to. Also, on tomorrow, I'm going to be doing Guardians of the Galaxy and doing that as a stream. I'm excited to be continuing that. We had a little bit of a break last week. And then on Tuesday, we're going to be doing more Final Fantasy VII, which has been absolutely incredible. I've been loving streaming that. And if you guys are wanting to join in on some of those game streams, those are on Tuesday and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, which is like 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And other streams I do various times, and trying to kind of give other opportunities as well for people to join in and hang out there, which is a fun opportunity. But yeah, Friday I'm adding in doing a Legends Arceus stream for that Pokemon game, and that might be kind of a one-shot stream. We'll see how that goes. But if you're excited to see some of the gameplay and you think some people that might be interested, let me know. I've been also kind of as like on my own, continuing on Pokemon Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond and going through those games. That's been pretty fun. When that came out, we did a stream for those, which I think people enjoyed as well. So kind of trying to do that again. Other things that are coming out here pretty soon is we're less than a month for Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Zero Dawn is my favorite game, and I'm hoping that it'll be beaten out by Horizon Forbidden West. I saw today some gameplay footage, some things that they're working on to showcase the game, and it looks great. It looks really great. There's going to be far more opportunities to climb and explore, making it an even more open world experience. Looks like they were also uh, pulling off things like that they've done in the past with um, Breath of the Wild, with Legend of Zelda, and also like Genshin Impact, which has the glider. They've built a glider mechanic in here for Aloy to help her move around even faster. A lot of new weapons. Seeing the gameplay and seeing people who actually now not people who built the game, but some like people who are helping to that PR movement, some gamers actually going and play it, and their reactions were super positive, and that was really exciting to me. One of the things they're saying is the cities are bigger, so we've got more immersive things where we can talk to more people, more activities when we go into the different cities, more different varieties of creatures, and those types of elements are there. And that everything just seems like it's bigger, and that there are more quests and more opportunities to go and explore, to do different things. But one of the things that the director, I heard some interview stuff where he was talking about this bigger world that he was trying to build out, is that they're trying to make it so everything was meaningful. That if you're going to a side quest, it helps you get an armor piece or an upgrade or different things like that. So all of the different side quests helped you make it feel meaningful and fulfilling that you were going and doing those things, instead of random just whatever quests that are sometimes thrown in for an open world game to give you things to do but aren't necessarily fulfilling. And that was one of the things that I was kind of worried about and thinking about, and they're saying that they're not going to do. And that's really good to hear. Everything that they were talking about were seeming like some of the things that were weaker in Horizon Zero Dawn, the things that they thought they could expand, improve upon, that they're going to be doing it. And I am so, so excited for it. So, when that comes out, that will probably be my primary gaming stream game because I'm going to be playing that game a lot and showing you guys all of the cool things with that one. So be prepared for that one. That's probably going to take over a lot of the stream schedule. Um, well, guys, this is kind of what we had planned out for today. And I just really appreciate you guys hanging out. You guys are fantastic. And I hope you guys enjoyed talking about the different comics and the different news items and kind of like just being able to be here and hanging out with me. You guys are fantastic, and I really have enjoyed everything you guys have shared and your different thoughts in the comments. You guys are amazing. We'll be back at this next week, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody.